What you're looking at, the quick overview, is these 12 giclées, and then the larger prints on the wall, which are duplicates, are models of the solar system. So these are basically artistic representations. I added color and scale and some background graphics for tiling to basically the models that were in a colleague named John Martineau, who, again, Dan, my videographer friend here, had the chance to meet also recently. He's a brilliant man who lives in England, and he wrote this book called A Little Book of Coincidence. And in that are things that I think are going to be, at some point, on a par with the discoveries of Galileo, Kepler, Einstein, and astronomers like Copernicus, people who've made breakthroughs, because his models are so stunningly accurate that, and I did the math to confirm them when I made these models, and sure enough, they're all about 99.9% accurate or better. Some of them are slightly less, but most of them are like 99.97, 99.98, 99.99, which gets a little bit out of the realm of chance. So that's why he called it A Little Book of Coincidence.
Which is that, yeah.
If you go to intent.com on the homepage, I've got the link to his book, and it's a gem. It's a wonderful gem. He's actually a publisher, and he has a whole series of books in the Wooden Book series that are just marvelous. And that's the one that I'm featuring here in this series of artwork. So what you're seeing in each of these 12 giclée prints is typically a pair of, there's some that are more than one, but one is three orbits, but mostly they're two planets that are modeled in terms of their orbital relationship. So for example, I'm going to start with one that's actually an exception. This one is modeling the closest and the farthest point in the approaches of two planetary orbits. So for example, here you have the closest approach to Venus and Earth to each other, represented by this inner circle and the center of it. Here you have, from the center to the outer circle here, the farthest approach between Venus and Earth. And how that's defined is you take a five-pointed star, or pentagram, the favorite initiation symbol on the hands of the Pythagorean mystery school folks, right?
Yeah.
And you take that symbol, make a fractal out of it, or you take a nested version embedded in it, so you have two pentagrams. You have the circle that circumscribes or goes around the outer pentagram. You have a circle that is formed by the crossings of the arms of the inner pentagram. And that pair of circles gives you, again, to about that 99.9, give or take, % accuracy, that apogee-perigee relationship, which is the closest and farthest. Keep getting mixed up. One's the closest, one's the farthest.
Right, yeah.
I'll memorize it one of these days. Okay. On the back, just to give you some idea of the background, I tried to do things that were consistent with the planets involved wherever I could. In this case, I used some NASA imagery of a galaxy, which is a spiral galaxy that's flip-flopped, turned into a tiling pattern. And that's what I've done pretty much for all these images. So, for example, here on this image, now the background, you have the sun showing the solar flares and a full moon turned into a tiling pattern on infinite planes, on two infinite planes. Here you've got 5 infinite planes that converge. Each of them converge at the infinity somewhere in the middle of the images. So here you have the two physical, luminaries, so to speak, of our solar system, the sun and the moon, that are shining light, metaphorically, so to speak, on the planetary gender archetypes, because Mars and Venus are represented by the orbits. The outer orbit here, a very faint red sphere here that you can just barely see. I wanted it, very subtle. That red sphere exactly touches in 20 points the 20 silvery spheres. So what happens is those 20 silvery spheres are defined by the centers of each of those are defined by the corners or vertices of a shape called the dodecahedron, which is Plato's symbol for spirit. Okay. So then you have on the inside, the same 20 spheres exactly touch the green sphere, which is the orbit of Venus. Yeah. And so you have the center of that green sphere to its circumference, representing Venus, the center of the red sphere, which is also the same as the center of the green sphere, to its circumference, the orbit of Mars. Again, on the 99.9% accuracy.
You're able to work with the actual relationships in the computer, trigger the graphical.
Yeah. But what I did is I created models using the points of the dodecahedron in this case to define where these cylinders are that show the shape, and then also show the shapes of the spheres that compose them. Yeah. That's fantastic. Very fantastic.